Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
And welcome to Justice Served TV. I'm sorry you caught me right in the middle of doing my laundry. So hold on a sec. There you go. It's, man, laundry day is always tough, especially after a long weekend. Woo! So
let me come to my house and do my laundry. Whatever you have there.
Let me do some fluff and fold and then get this finished off here. All right. Okay. Linda Kenney Baden, what's happening?
Hey, nice to see you, Michael Bryant. I started this morning. I actually was on Court TV with Julie Grant doing Cardi B, talking about Cardi B.
Oh,
and
Cardi
then
B.
she goes and throws a pen at a reporter this afternoon. I'm sure her attorneys were really happy about that.
Oh, goodness. What a weird, I mean, if it weren't for the entertainment value, it'd be an embarrassment, that trial.
Well, that trial is like, when you have two pigs in the swamp, right? One's $25 million for the doctor is 4 years later. Another one is throwing pens. I mean, really, this is, and it's in Alhambra. They didn't put it in the main courthouse. They put it in the town that Phil Spector was in.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I started with that. Then I had to leave you, and I did listen here and there. I'm kind of glad, Michael Bryant, that you were on it.
Thanks for that, partner. Thanks a lot. Yeah. I mean, I was curious to see how it was going to unfold, and it was about as clunky as I expected. Some witnesses I hadn't really envisioned. They were attacking the informants. So that was interesting. That's effective. I don't know about that. But they hit. I was at least happy to see that they attacked the areas they needed to attack. The one-way ticket to Vietnam, obviously an issue. The informants, obviously an issue. But is it going to win the day? I seriously doubt it. It's kind of like.
Yeah, I doubt it too. You know why? Because you were there, and when you are not on the air, like we're on the air, and I heard the comment again now about Wendy, you can bury me in the dress for bar mitzvah. Yeah. That was had a whole new different meaning as to whether or not she was coming back, Donna, for the bar mitzvah. Somebody initially said, and we had glommed onto it, was that she was coming back for a bat mitzvah.
Yes, we had the bot bar discussion earlier today. Then I didn't know that it was Lincoln.
Yeah, no one had mentioned that till recently. Good to see everyone tonight. Thank you. We have a really special show for you. And tomorrow the court is on. I did a thumbnail for tonight that's going to say Donna, Charlie, clanking, because weren't we all turning to the door, even if we're not in the courtroom, and seeing if we heard clanking of chains?
Yeah, from the Catherine Magwin-Waugh collection. Hey, before we get into our very special guest, I got a couple quickies here, and we're doing the show in case people don't know, because the court ended early today. So we're bringing back a couple of our usual tidbits here. Fonnie Willis continues to be in trouble, Fulton County DA. This time, the Supreme Court in their area, I think Superior Court's what they call it, has told her, you got to do a better job of searching for documents. Tom Fenton, who's with Justice Watch, I think it's called, he's already gotten $22,000 in attorney's fees for Judicial Watch. Thank you. I like the Justice Watch better. He's already gotten $22,000 in attorney's fees for the effort he's had to expend to get the documents she wouldn't give her under a FOIA. What, that sound familiar? We know our friend Ashley Merchant got $54,000 for having to enforce her FOIA request. Well, now the court has said, go back. You got 14 days to tell us more about your process, because we don't think you've come clean with all these documents related to the Trump case, which of course is still technically alive. We don't think you've gotten clean with the Nathan Wade connection to these documents and somebody else in the office there. But anyway, it's all falling on her. Go back, come up with something to convince the court she's given every document that's available. The court sounds like it's already figured out she hasn't, so they're giving her another shot at convincing them. But I think they're going to come back and say, not good enough, scour the records one more time, give them to Judicial Watch. The other thing I have, do you have a comment on Fondy?
Well, no, I don't have a comment on Fondy. Cardi B, we're still waiting for a jury verdict. Okay.
Oh, they're in verdict watch?
They've done summations and everything already.
Wow.
They with summations were like 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's very simple. When somebody doesn't go to the doctors for 4 years and then says there's a scar that needed plastic surgery because of a fingernail, I could go into. I'm going to post later on.
I blame the attorney, the plaintiff's attorney, and there should be some repercussions for the plaintiff's attorney to bring this kind of case.
Let's see why maybe there's not. Okay, I'll just leave it at that at this moment. Is your fourth one Barry Morphew, because he was able to post not $3 million cash bond for the Suzanne Morphew death. He's the judge allowing him to post a surety bond or property. So that's my two. Okay,
I got one more, and I hate to end on this note that's kind of grisly, but I will. University of Kentucky cheerleader has been arrested for, and this is going to sound very familiar, and I'll let you name the case that it sounds familiar with. And this is Laken Snelling. On Sunday, there's a call to the 911 unresponsive infant. They get there, the infant is dead. There is no cause of death released yet, but the cheerleader for University of Kentucky has been arrested for abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence, and concealing an infant birth. So, with those details that remind you of any particular case? Covered it on Law and Crime, but it was in 2019, so probably you were there in 2019. That was 6 years ago. No, nothing? You got nothing?
How about if we give it to our viewers?
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Anybody want to spit that out? See if we've got some answer. This again involved, I will say, that the fact pattern is very similar, and so far, so are the charges. I will go further and say that in this particular case, the mother was found not guilty of all charges except, and she throw murder into the mix. We don't know the cause of death yet, so we don't know if murder is going to be effective in this Laken Snelling case. But in the case I'm talking about, there was a not guilty. It was in Cincinnati. But there was a guilty as to abuse of a corpse, but not the murder, not the tampering. Anyone? Let's see. Anyone? I don't see it. I'm surprised because this was a huge case. Okay, I'm just going to tell you because we want to get to our guest. Skylar Richardson in Cincinnati. Remember, she's the one who went to the bathroom one day and gave birth. Her testimony was that it was a stillbirth, and that all she did was panic and bury the fetus in the garden.
And there's a lot of cases like that if you go back and very.
This one they did so many Netflix-esque shows, docudramas about it that it and I remember it well. And people were really divided on this case about whether she was or wasn't guilty, but she was officially not guilty except for the corpse abuse charge. So on that note,
we have a very special guest. She's a star in her own right. She became a star kind of on the, wow, who is this person in the courtroom? Could she be Auntie Deb? Could she be Jimmy, who's like 6'4" and wears Bermuda shorts in the courtroom? No. Jimmy and I put our makeup on one day together, in case you haven't watched, for 2 hours. We do know that Jimmy cannot do more than 4 push-ups because he went splat on the floor when we were doing it. But I know Janet, Ms. Demeanor, probably can do a lot better. Welcome to Justice Served TV. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been super excited doing the countdown to when I'd be able to come on with y'all.
So let me ask, because we've shared the court. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
He's got to take over. He's always got to take over.
Hold on. Let me a technical question. I'm feeling like your microphone is not competing with us properly, so I can't tell if it's on or working properly. Janet, I can hear yours fine, but I shouldn't be able to talk over you, Linda, and I very seldom can. So I'm pretty sure that something is.
Hello.
Okay.
On.
I'll try to be more deferential then. So go ahead, fire away.
No, I'm done firing.
You're done. Janet, we never shared the courtroom. We were down there just at different times. But give me your impressions of being in the arena there.
Much larger than it appears on TV, definitely. That Monday when I was there and Jimmy was supposed to be there was the Wendy Adelson day, and it was chaos in the halls before court started that day. And fortunately, I was able to muscle my way in there. Friday was a light crowd, which kind of surprised me a little bit. But then again, it's right before holidays. So I love every single solitary thing about Judge Everett. I adore. I have a mad crush on this man. I just think he is the bee's knees.
I love that term, the bee's knees. He is great. I mean, also he's got that jolly, rotund face, and the fact that the first day he said, "Well, open the door, jurors. Oh, it's always the bathroom line." And then I found out, John, he was a school teacher, so of course he's worried about the children going to the restroom. Is it number one or one figure or two figure?
He to me is the epitome of exactly the behavior, attitude that you want in a judge. He seems very fair, and today he's had a couple moments where he told the defense to sit down. I was like, oh, I would not want Judge Everett saying that to me. Oh, no. So no, he is very commanding in person and on TV, which I think is kind of hard to do that, but he has a presence, and I love it.
By the way, speaking about presence, our very savvy viewers notice and that you have a folded flag behind you.
Yes.
And?
That is my father-in-law's. He served in the Army.
That is, he served in the Army. That was after he died, after he had a normal life, or did he die in service?
He did not die in service. No, he had a very full life after his service. And unfortunately, I met my husband after he passed away. So I never even had the opportunity to get to know either my mother-in-law or my father-in-law. They had both passed away prior to me meeting my husband. So, but we honor him.
The mother-in-law and father-in-law in this case, your father-in-law's presence is felt by the flag, but the mother-in-law and father-in-law in this case, talk to us about how you feel.
Oh, I didn't think when the trial started that there was enough evidence that I knew of anyway that would convict her. And in fact, when I was driving to the courthouse on Monday, my girlfriend and she said, well, what do you think? She's going to get burned. And I said, I don't know. I don't know if there's enough evidence. Like, I know how we all think about it, but it has to be presented to a jury and be beyond a reasonable doubt. And at that time, I didn't really know if there was going to be enough. And then Friday happened. Friday with the jailhouse snitches and the script. Who writes a dadgum script? That one blew me away. And I just thought, what were you thinking doing something like that? So my opinion now is the defense has a very uphill battle. I would not want to be them, and as disorganized as they are and unprepared every single time, it's like, oh, we have to cross-examine. We didn't know what that was coming. Yeah, it's like, how do you not know that? You're a defense attorney. This is how it goes in court. And today was no better.
They're not very nimble. Yeah, they're not very nimble. Let's talk about today, because they did make their effort to diffuse the script, and they did so by trying to put the jury to sleep. That was their plan, apparently. Here, let's just run this video that has no audio. You can barely see the two people we're talking about. It was horrible, and I don't know what it was set to accomplish. All we know, all this jury cares about, is that script has been confirmed and agreed to by the defense to be written by Donna Adelson. So I don't care if Drini and her are sitting there, sharing notes, penmanship competition, who writes more neatly. I don't care what all of that was. The ultimate impact of that relationship was the script. So
I actually thought that may have a damaging effect for the defense because it kind of supports what Drina testified to, that yes, they went to a separate table. Yes, she was writing this information down. To me, I just kept thinking, why are you doing this? This is not good. Why are you going down this avenue that kind of supports exactly what the jailhouse snitch testified to? And then they went into the whole timing thing in December with the last law enforcement gentleman. I actually don't even think I caught his name when he was on the stand, but he talked about coming, meeting with her on the 18th, I think, and then this video was taken on the 19th, and the attorney, the Georgia Cavalry, met
Detective
on the 20th.
Turner. Yeah, Detective Turner.
Turner, that's it.
Yeah, he was with the Leon County SO.
And that kind of...
He knew why he was there either. He was like, what are they asking me?
Yeah, and they could have used him better to narrate that video, and made it a little more conversational, but it was just so sporadic and so halting,
long.
Yeah.
And long. And as well as I do, when you're sitting in that courtroom and there's any kind of pause or anything, y'all at home watching.
That's when I nod off. I nod off. My head goes like this, boop, and I nod off. So
much longer feeling in the courtroom.
My bobble. This is my head nods off.
Wash the money with you, Michael Bryant.
Look at that. Yeah, so that's. I mean, it's almost hypnotic when you're in court and there's that droning going on. It's just like, man, I should.
Well, they keep it nice and chilly in there, so that makes it a little more difficult to doze off because it was so cold on Friday in that courtroom.
Speaking of cold, because I did make it Monday. We didn't run into one another then. I barely got there for the last part of the day, but quickly got in there, and there were a couple of spots, and I got to see Wendy. And then as she left, I went out to ask her to sign her book for me. And you might be surprised to know she did not agree to sign the book for me.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, so that was a cold moment.
It's interesting you talk about that you didn't see the connection until Friday, Janet, because Michael Bryant was saying all week, and he and I were having not a dispute, but I was saying, I think that the prosecution has proven it, but I was thinking ahead to the wire and the bump, and I didn't know about the bump. There was 5 bumps. And I think, Michael, and I'm not going to speak for you, but when you heard the 5 bumps and all the calls on Thursday, by Thursday night, you had thought that they had made the connection. And certainly by Friday, I don't usually like snitches, but the script, you're right, the script.
I think the first snitch, the jury may find her completely incredible. And that's okay, because the important one is the second snitch. And her testimony, it's looking pretty unwavering to me, unless the defense puts something else up that really would jar the testimony that's already been heard. And I can tell you, the jury on Friday, when that testimony and evidence was coming in, the phone call that they thought Donna thought was hung up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the script, those 2 things both happened on Friday. And that jury, when I say they were on the edge of their seat, they literally were leaning over and just staring at the screen. Their eyes would go to the screen, to Donna, to the screen, to Donna. And I thought, this is, because you can just read in their minds that they're thinking, you did this? This is you saying these despicable things? And wow, you could see that the gears kind of going around and around.
And for people that don't know, the call that Janet's referring to is the call that she was talking to her son, Charlie, from the jail. And it got cut off, and she stayed on the phone because it cost $6 or something for him to call back, and they didn't want to pay it, believe it or not, all right? And so she didn't realize that it's still being taped, as all the jailhouse calls are. And she's going on, and that's where you get the bury me in the dress, right? That's where you get bury me in the dress I bought for the bar mitzvah, which kind of, to me, undoes the whole idea that she was coming back for the bar mitzvah. Maybe she was, but not, to her friends, maybe she was, but that kind of undoes it. I don't know how you feel about it.
I don't know how you get a one-way ticket for anywhere, because I'm sure it would have been easy to change. I mean, they knew they were coming back for that at least. So schedule your return flight a week before that or something. Like, it's stinking to me. It smells more than fishy.
Well, they had their answer for that was the friend, right? The friend who came along and said, hey, we were having a conversation and I suggested they go one way because it's cheaper to come back one way from Vietnam to Florida rather than around, which makes no sense. I mean, I'd have to see that penciled out. And then he admitted that he didn't, tell them to do it. It was a suggestion. I envision they're having a conversation, and just the cost of the ticket and the planning comes up, and maybe he says, "Oh, have you checked into one way?" Because sometimes it's cheaper, and that morphs into, I'm the one who suggested that they do one way to save on some money. Does the jury buy it? I don't know.
I don't know if they do or not either. It is a very heavy male jury.
Yeah.
And my impressions Monday and Friday, I didn't feel like that was boding well for her. Definitely conversation about custody and the divorce and that on Monday. There was a visceral reaction physically by some of the male jurors during that testimony that led me to believe maybe they've gone through something similar and are identifying with what it would be like to be Dan Markel, having to deal with a difficult family instead of just your ex. There was definitely, it's hard to explain. It's just body language that you see that it's kind of like, I know what this feels like. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's that kind of language. And they don't give off, the jury doesn't give off a lot of reactions. I will give them credit for that. They've been very, very stone-faced.
I have to say, though, when the judge comes in and says to them, "Good morning," they go, "Good morning." They're like fully, to use Alan Jackson's words, fully throated. Good morning. They could be singing a sonata, on that.
Well, he'll make you do it again if it isn't robust enough.
That sounds like a teacher. Doesn't that sound like a teacher? That sounds like a teacher.
Absolutely, because on Friday he came to the gallery to talk about the rules of the courtroom, and he said, "Good morning," and it was like, "Good morning," and he goes, "Well, that's completely unacceptable. Let's try that again." So then everybody was like, "Good morning."
Hey, that the female bailiff who seemed to be the cell phone police? I mean, I was there one day, I think it was Wednesday of last week, where 3 people got nailed. And it's so funny because nobody in there is doing this intentionally. I'm paranoid. I'm like, I'm checking every few minutes to make sure the volume is down and the ringer is off, because it's embarrassing and I don't want to be kicked out. But when it happens to somebody, it's like, they're just crestfallen, because they know what's going to happen. They hear the little peep or the chirp. They see her get up, come their way, and it's like, and they just embarrassingly plod their way out of the courtroom. But it happened like 3 times in the afternoon session.
I had heard that there were issues with cell phones that day, but I obviously not being there, I don't see it. Yeah, she caught me in the hall. I was doing a live stream on the lunch break on Friday with crime junkie jury, and with Brandy Churchwell. And I'm in the middle of talking to her, and the phone patrol came out through the door. I was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, "There are offices and they're trying to work in here." I'm like, "All right, I'm sorry." So I went across the hall. When I did go into the courtroom, I went over to her and apologized. She was very, very kind. And she said, "Oh, it's no problem. I just needed you to move."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Michael was screaming out there. Michael, I thought okay. It's violating the rules again.
No, not me. No, that's the beauty of Florida. You can't do it in the courtroom. And obviously, if you're close enough to one of the doors, they don't want that disruption. But anywhere in the rotunda from any of those floors, you knock yourself out. I love that. Sarah Boone, we did the same thing. So
Sarah Boone.
Mm.
Did you watch Sarah Boone? You like Sarah?
Oh, yeah. My friends know I there's a phrase when something happens, I'll imitate poor George. Sarah.
Oh,
I'm like, how do you do that?
I know.
That's
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Yeah, she is a
No.
special kind of person.
Yeah, she doesn't get it.
Not in a good way.
What is it about Florida, these cases? Maybe we just see them because they're broadcasts. I don't know. But let me remind everybody that with regard to snitches, or as we say in the new lingo, incentivized informants, okay, that 15% of the death penalty cases, the Innocence Project has people who were wrongfully convicted because of incentivized informants or snitches. So I think you're absolutely right, Jenna. The one I was like, okay. But the second one was actually a professional snitch. I don't know if you called that. She had done this before, so she knew what she was doing to set her up and get her, because she said that's why she's the one who, the first one called her lawyer. The second one called the police. She called law enforcement directly. Said, "Oh, hello, I've done this before. Yeah, I've got something here."
The difference with Drina, the second snitch, is at this point, I don't really think there is any benefit for her to testify. That ship sailed. Yeah. That's behind her. And so I think that also lends to her credibility, that the timing of, when she was, or when she reoffended, I guess I should say, was well after she had already done this. She was out. There was no time that she was serving at that particular
She might have been trying to bank some credit because she's 27 times convicted. So it's like, I know I'm going to be back. Can you put this in the bank for me? And next time I'm around.
Put that one in the hopper.
Yeah, I mean, she's a sad story. She's clearly an addict, and she's surviving. And I think her life story is not going to end well. I think it's just going to be bad.
Addiction is, once you get in the system like that, addiction is so. I mean, it's hard to overcome by itself, let alone throwing in all of these other circumstances. It just makes it that much more difficult.
Yeah.
Somebody ragged on me because I said, "Look, she's an addict," and I said, "Look, she looks like an addict. We're lawyers. We deal with addicts who are getting in trouble. She's got all the indicia of one, and she's an admitted addict. So if I call her an addict, it's because she is. That's not ragging on her. Having an addiction is the scourge of our society, as everybody knows here. It's terrible, and we don't have facilities for somebody who has 27 convictions for deception, or 27 arrests for deception. It goes along with the personality or that she has. But I thought she was a good witness, though.
I thought she was a great witness. And in addition to that, I really feel like 90% of our addiction issues in this country are directly in correlation with mental health issues. And that's the easiest and cheapest coping mechanism for individuals. And, we don't prioritize mental health. I have said for many, many years that when you go get your physical every year, you should go sit down with a counselor, a psychologist, psychiatrist, whomever it is, but you need to have one of these checked out too, instead of just, pretending like everything's great.
Right.
It's all grand.
No, you're absolutely right on point. That's a problem. And I bet you if you took a poll of how many people are in that jail right now that it's related to addiction issues, I bet it's more often than not more people in there. They're not in the jail. They're not in the jail for the Donna Adelson type crimes. So it's not that they don't become murderers.
Donna can't even use that as an excuse. Oh, I was on drugs.
Yeah, that's true. Not yet, anyway. We haven't heard her testify. So, hey, let me ask you some jury questions. I have my jury sheet here. Just get your impressions on some of these folks. First of all, very young in general. Maybe 2 people in the 50s range is my best guess. The rest are 20s and 30s, and maybe a couple in the 40s. Mostly men, as you suggest. That witness today, the $300 per hour cell phone person. First of all, can I get a refund? Can I get a refund on the cost for this woman? But before I get to that, she's young, and maybe she resonated differently with a primarily young jury. I don't know. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt on that because I didn't get her at all.
No, and I can tell. I have a 24-year-old, and that generation, they have no tolerance for misguidedness. The environment that they have grown up in has been largely artificial or dishonest, and so they automatically kind of default to questioning and trying to figure out what the angle is. And so with her, I just didn't see any sort of benefit to the testimony that she gave. So there were 11 messages that really weren't to the full extent of what was originally testified to. I mean, really, is that?
Yeah, I mean, it was primarily on the frequency issue, and the cross was good in pointing out. So you don't dispute the geolocation information. You don't dispute. So confirming most of what the prosecution presented and boiling it down to, well, let's see. I think the numbers were 400 and some different interactions with duplicates that the law enforcement officer Corbett said, there were some duplicates. So they get it down to maybe the high threes or the low threes. So does that mean the ones that were so important that we heard didn't exist? No, of course they existed. So just because there was some technical difference in how the numbers were calculated, it's a distinction without a difference, in my opinion.
I was so hoping. I feel like I'm forever an optimist, and I genuinely hoped and thought that Attorney Zellman and Attorney Fulford would be coming in today, had a whole long weekend to get it together and just come in like gangbusters and just roll right through, like do a little George Kappelman for me where we get this witness and then we get this witness. And then I was like so disappointed, which I'm okay with disappointment. I've come to be friends with it. There's lots of it in life. And so I was really just waiting. I'm still waiting for what's this big defense. And I worry that Donna, because she's such a control freak, I mean, I don't really worry about it. I worry for the defense that she.
You want everyone to have the best defense, I can tell.
Of course. Absolutely.
That's right.
But I think she is going to insist on testifying, and I don't know that that's going to go well. Yeah. I mean, it'll be entertaining. Yeah. I am here for it.
And I think it's for the same reason Charlie did. Arrogance and lack of any real perception as to what's happening, those two items. But then also maybe she either is totally oblivious to what's really happening, or she gets it and says, I got nothing to lose because I'm going down the dumper, as it stands right now. Let me give this jury something else to think about. So either way, I think you're right. I think she's taking the stand. They promised that she would. We know it's not a decision that's made until really sometimes at the very end, and it's her decision, but I do think we see her.
I don't think that Donna possesses the appropriate amount of self-awareness in order to recognize blind spots in her own psyche.
So you're going with the arrogant.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. But based on all of the writings, based on the text messages, the emails, the recorded conversation that they didn't know was being recorded. And by the way, am I the only I have family that does not live in the same state that I live in. I still don't text them and email them like this family emails each other. Do y'all think that's odd? Because I think it's off the charts weird. Pick up the phone. Hey, what are you doing?
If I could have seen a history that goes back, they focused primarily on May to July, right, 2014. If I could see the year before that to get a feel for what's normal, if there is such a thing for this family, it might help me understand. But I envision this normal and then this flurry of craziness, all connected to the death of Dan Markel.
Yeah, I think that you just say way in here. I think the craziness is all connected to the death of Dan Markel, because you see that in the bump, 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 bump. All right, the flurry that's going on. At least not Wendy, because Wendy's been told not to talk to them, and I think Wendy's very smart. And of course, Wendy is not on trial here, but I do want to take a moment to thank everybody who's in our chat who's talking about their addiction issues or involved with addiction issues and people being free and struggling and all. But I think that at some point, maybe we should do a show, Michael Bryant, on that, because every time we mention it, we had a lot of comments, and we don't have enough time to really talk about it as appropriately as it should be spoken about here on this show when we're talking about Donna Adelson, who's so self-absorbed that she's addicted to her own self, in my opinion. But that's another, that's another thing.
Can't imagine where Charlie got that.
Yeah, how about the fact that they're using WhatsApp and Viper? I mean,
Not very technologically savvy, though.
Yeah, that whole thing is weird too, and I had to look up Viber because I thought it was Viper, but yeah, and it still exists. It's still a thing. You can download it if you want. But yeah, these folks that were at the time at, I'm guessing, in 60-ish range, they were on it, man. They had the WhatsApp. But on Cross, it was clearly pointed out there were 3 calls that bracketed the day in which Ann Cunningham, the friend of Donna Adelson, said she spoke to Donna Adelson. And yet there's no record of a regular phone call. So she had to default, if it happened, to WhatsApp.
Right.
But why of all these calls did that one go through WhatsApp? I think if there was a call, maybe it was the next day. Maybe it was the 19th. Maybe it wasn't the 18th. And I don't know why you couldn't admit that if that's what happened.
That's what I was just going to say is, if you aren't guilty, don't behave like you're guilty. and if you have nothing to hide, don't behave like you're trying to hide something. And that's what a lot of this behavior, I was talking last night with some other people about the Karen Reed case, and that is what has perpetuated this narrative, is the inappropriate behavior after the fact that is not what normal, innocent people do. They just don't do that. And so then you get people going, well, things aren't adding up, because it's not. Why would she call or communicate through something other than just the regular phone? It's weird.
Yeah, I see young people do. I mean, they do all this stuff. We're still on like Facebook. I don't know what's happened on my Facebook. But the other thing is, I did want to mention, Michael Bryant. I heard you this day in Vietnam, kind of like Mexico. Vietnam, the government can make a special request to extradite somebody, but that doesn't mean Vietnam has to send them there. It's like when we have the death penalty and we're seeking somebody from Mexico and they don't have the death penalty. The government can make a request, but Mexico doesn't have to send anybody back. And now I doubt they wouldn't send anyone back anyhow. But so it's not like there's no extradition treaty. All right. And I think that's what people are getting hung up on. So it's not that it's prohibited, but what's so important about this case that's going to happen? It's just not. So that's where you're going with that extradition here. Just want to remind everybody. There is no extradition treaty. And by the way, thank you. I want to thank Joey Kane, who gifted a Justice Serve TV membership. And Sui Generous. Hi, Sui, all over the place. Hey, Steve Serve TV coverage. Yeah,
thanks, Sue.
I wasn't on, Sue, today. I mean, Michael Bryant, he did have Jodine Weber on, but I wasn't on. And,
I held her hostage for about 3 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah. I was rushing to get back to, okay, we're going to say it. Auntie Deb.
Yeah.
How is that still like going crazy over you because of that? Or they recognize that you are knowledgeable, sophisticated, great trial watcher who has a lot to offer.
I appreciate that. I have driven my entire family and friends crazy with all of the conversation I want to have. So this is a great outlet for me. We can talk all you want.
I want to ask that. How we didn't get into how you do what you do. How did that evolve?
So literally, my son has been on my case for quite some time about, Mom, you should do TikTok videos. You like to talk about this. You're very knowledgeable. People would find it interesting. I'm like, give me a break. Come on, you're just my son. You love me. That's why. And so finally I said, all right, I'm going to at least give it a try. And I also knew that Adelson was going to be in Tallahassee. And I just decided, all right, I'm going this day and I'm going this day, and whoever testifies is who's testifying, but those are the days I'm going to go. And of course, because I've been such an avid trial watcher, I of course knew who Auntie Deb was, as any good trial watcher would know. And so I kind of woke up Tuesday morning and my social media was just like all these snapshot pictures of me and, people talking about whether I wore a wig and, that my neck was too wide to be Jimmy. And maybe, my hands are large, so maybe I am him. And I was like, oh, really? Y'all want to go down this road? Y'all need to know exactly who I am. And so that's how that came about. But I have literally watched trials and consumed true crime since I was a teenager. And so it's funny, I'll talk to someone and they'll say, hey, do you know about this case? And I go, oh yeah, I know. And then it all starts.
No, this is great though, because it took something like this freaky thing. And I think I retweeted it because I was, Auntie Deb and I had done that show together. And I said, oh, Jimmy, if this is you, get a new wig, because this is really not you. I mean, it can't be. It couldn't have been Jimmy. I mean, his hair is just like,
Yes, it is. And you don't wear a wig.
And you don't wear.
Oh no, this is really my hair.
I have those people too. They accuse wearing. I know what you're doing. No, so you got discovered because of this freak thing, and it's so fabulous. It's just fabulous because it's so great that people are coming to your show and that we're having you on, and you're getting to talk about how you feel because you're the jury, right?
I do feel that way. And I have to say, it is a completely surreal experience to be talking to the two of you, for example, when I've sat in my office with my earbud in watching trials, listening to the two of you. Or one of my favorite interviews you did was with Michael Easter. I loved that. I learned so much from him. And so there's this very weird, I don't know, Seinfeld worlds colliding thing or something. It's surreal is the best word I can think of, because you all are people that I've followed for a long time, and now we're sitting here.
We're buds now.
Somebody has a question for you. Did Wendy have called Dan when she arrived at the roadblock?
Yeah, that's a question. That's one of those things that people don't understand.
I think that if I were her, I would have called my ex-husband and to say, hey, honey, is there something, former honey, right? Something going on where I used to live with our kids and you live with our kids because it's crime scene tape. I think you should have. What do you think about that, Janet?
I think that she kind of painted herself into a corner, because it was so weird for her to be in that location for what she was saying she was doing when you look at the routes. So then it was like, oh gosh, because I absolutely believe she knew. And that's why she was doing what she was doing. She was checking. She was being a nosy britches, which, I mean, I am totally a nosy britches. I wear that badge of honor very well. But I don't think Wendy wants anybody to think she's a nosy britches. And so if she would have called, then that would have absolutely positively confirmed that she was in that location. And she didn't really want people to know that she was there. And this is why I think there's a good possibility they're going after Wendy next, because of the ending testimony on Monday with the sheriff, who had the exact same minivan as hers. And he knew that she was there and swooped right around. She wasn't counting on that. She thought she could be incognito. And I think that's why she didn't make a call to Dan, is because she didn't want there to be some sort of electronic record of where she physically was. She thought she'd gotten away with it, and she didn't.
That is actually a really, really interesting point. So I thought it was also because when she's in the police station, my first thing, and I don't know how you feel, because obviously your son loves you. You have a great relationship with your child, right? Who's got you into this career, right? Is that when she's at the police station, if I knew that my ex-husband just had been attempted assassination and he's dying, probably going to be dead, I would say, I want to get my kids. I'm leaving to get my kids. But she didn't. She had to know her kids weren't in danger. She had to, or else every mother would be out of there. Hold me, arrest me. I'm going to get my kids.
I don't think Wendy's behavior in any of those interrogations, I shouldn't say interrogations, and when she was told about the situation in the police department, I don't think those do her a lot of favors. And I think if a trial ends up coming about for Wendy, that is going to be her own words will be her worst enemy in that. And then, of course, Dan's friends who immediately thought that it was Harvey, that, Harvey was behind all of this and that they'd always suspected him. And yeah, I agree with you that as a mom, my very first instinct is, yes, I need to get my little bear cub, regardless of age. That didn't seem to be her first gut reaction.
Because she wasn't worried. She had nothing to worry about. She already knew it was not an attack on the family. It was targeted because she was involved.
After the case, afterwards, she had to say that it was an attack on the family because they needed to get out of there. She was worried about their safety.
Oh, of course. Change the names, all of that. Yeah.
Change the names of the kids. How about Harvey? What do you think about Harvey? He didn't really come up a lot until this trial.
Exactly. And I had a really weird moment with Harvey on Monday. And on Monday, I felt bad about it. By Friday, hearing the testimony, I didn't feel quite as bad about it. I think he knew all along. I just think that he's better at keeping his mouth shut.
What convinced you? What thing convinced you that he was? I
think it was a combination. I don't think it was a singular item. I believe it was a combination. His name coming up frequently in reference to the grandchildren and the move and the business, the selling of the business to Charlie, and then it goes back to Harvey. That's super suspicious to me. That's very telling. And then, of course, hearing him on the recorded call again. Yeah, and again, the jury isn't seeing this information, but when you start seeing some of the questioning that was done after Dan's murder, that they kind of all went right straight to Harvey, which kind of was surprising to me that they would think he was behind it instead of Donna, but it was a whole family thing. So it's those kinds of things. And the fact that he sits in court and just takes notes and there's nobody there. Today, there were people.
Today, the leftover witnesses, when they were dismissed, they sat down with him, his buddies. Yeah, but in general, it's been him and a bunch of empty spaces.
An entire empty pew.
Could you do the breaking news for a second?
Oh, you have a breaking news thing?
I have a breaking news thing.
Okay, hold on. There must be a verdict. Hold on, I have to get to it here. Hold on. Where in the heck? Oh, there it is. Is this Cardi B related?
Not guilty. Just
not guilty. I mean, you mean not liable?
Now it's coming through my phone here. Not guilty. Cardi B found not guilty in the case. Coming through my phone. Somebody. Yes. Anyone else get that breaking news thing?
Was it a civil case?
It's a civil case. Well,
okay, so not liable. And let's not put her in prison either way. Not liable. Okay.
No, I mean,
not responsible for the damages to the security guard. Who looked like she was, I guess, big enough to protect a building, is how she was described. Yeah. I guess it would have been worse. She could have said she was big as the building. She didn't go that far.
Now, if this is a wrong news alert to me, I'm going to blame it on the wrong news alert. But that's what I'm getting through right now. That's the breaking news, which is what I predicted this morning. Clear of all charges. Yes, Mara confirms. Thank you very much. Now that we've gone through that, as a celebrity injustice, justice, or whatever you want to call it, I think I can understand why the insurance carrier didn't want to pay that case. Back to the important guest.
So my take on Harvey, the one thing that really turned my head was the meeting, the poolside Godfather-like meeting. That was, I don't know how you distance yourself from that.
Yeah, I forgot about the
he and Donna and Charlie avoiding any sort of surveillance. Let's go to the pool house. That's amazing.
Yeah, I forgot about that too. I knew that there were several things that happened. You're absolutely right. When that came in, I was kind of like, what? And I don't ever remember seeing that evidence before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That seemed like that was new to me. Maybe I'm just, a big old buffoon, but.
And then they've tied him a little bit more closely to the money and the delivery of the money.
And all, yes.
Moldy as it may have been. Yeah.
Gross.
Anyhow, do you think Charlie's going to clank in tomorrow?
I think Donna is really hoping that Charlie is going to be her good little boy and is going to save her and take care of everything like he always has. Charlie, you always take care of everything. So I think there's a very strong possibility that he may testify. Do I think it's wise? No, because I think Georgia Kappelman is sitting there going, bring it on.
Oh, yeah.
Bring it on.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Again, that self-awareness thing, I don't know that Donna has that kind of self-awareness, and clearly her defense team does not have a good vision.
It might even be a client control issue, because whether Charlie testifies is a strategy. That's a strategy question. That's in the purview of the attorneys. But if they can't control their client and she forces their hand, who knows?
I know I see a lot of things, people questioning if she has chosen this particular defense team specifically so that she can have an appeal issue in ineffective counsel. And yeah. I got to tell you, I'm not, there's only one other case recently that I saw anything about ineffective counsel or prosecutorial misconduct, and that was Zachary Adams in the Holly Bobo case in Tennessee. There was a recent hearing like last week on that, and that's really the first time I kind of watched and thought, oof, this doesn't look good. Like
I think they're stuck. Lawyers are stuck with their counsel, their client and all. And the client doesn't want to plead guilty. One of the decisions the client makes is, do you go to trial? Do you plead guilty or not guilty? Do you get a judge or jury? Do you testify or not? And they're stuck with her. So they're probably trying not to, violate any ethics rules and giving her the best defense they can. I just think that their pacing, if I were teaching them, okay, because I've been attacked for life going degrees, but I think their pacing is not effective. I would say that. And that just may be because they don't have very much to work with.
Yeah, I think they have been effective in fits and starts, but that's the problem. There is no flow, there is no confidence exuded from the presentation,
and I feel like Attorney Fulford, she has this thing that she does usually toward the end of her cross-examination that I notice where she starts to be kind of biting and rude, and I say rude.
We lost you. You're muted. You muted.
Lost you.
Muted.
How did I get muted?
There you go. You're back.
Now
I haven't done anything. When Wendy was on the stand, I really had a hard time watching that testimony, her being questioned and the way she was questioning her. And I kind of looked over at Donna because, again, as a mom, I could never imagine someone going after my child, and I don't care how old he is, he will be my child, in that fashion. And she was just okay with it. And I thought, boy, is that telling that you're okay with your attorney. It's like every man for himself. I didn't like it. And I've noticed that she's done that a couple different times. I think in her mind, she thinks that's her being very assertive and effective. And it doesn't come across that way. It just comes across nasty.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about the folksy moments? You like the folksy moments, or is that too much for you?
Today, like when she said, you need to talk slower or else the court reporter will shoot me. Oh, yeah, that was brilliant. It's like, this is a murder trial, ma'am.
I know, really. And if she is going to shoot me, there's somebody here that can arrange it. You know.
Hopefully they don't going to fall for this.
Somebody's actually.
Yeah. She was kind of forced to resign, and then she got a disability. There's a whole long story. You can all Google it, but thank you, Bruce West, for reminding us.
Yes, I did talk to a couple attorneys on Monday when I was there, and they did not have great things to say about Attorney Fulford. They were happy she was no longer on the bench. They had practiced in her court before, and they said it was mayhem.
All right, so Charlie won't be first on the stand unless he is first on the stand at 9 o'clock. But I don't think he'll be down by if that's the case, he wouldn't be finished. So maybe maybe they intend to end with Charlie, and then Donna can make a decision whether she's going to testify. As I've told people, that when you have your client testify on the stand, Bill, everything you've done, if you have done a good job and you had made points, it's all down the way. It goes down the toilet. All right, you just flush it away, because the case only comes down to the client's testimony. And maybe Donna feels that she can pull it out, or maybe she feels she can't pull it out. And I think that's going to be in her mind ultimately what the decision is. And ultimately, whatever she does on the stand, if she does testify, will determine this case. Yeah.
And for a control freak, for her to just relinquish that kind of control, that's a tough one. She'd be sitting there, assuming she's convicted, in prison saying, what if? What if I had told my story, Right.
Especially, I noticed, Judge Everett has had to kind of admonish her a couple times about her reaction to things. And Friday, you could, where I was sitting, I kind of, got only a portion of the back and side of her, but you could definitely feel, as the script information was coming in, this kind of draining, oh my gosh, this is really bad, isn't it? I think I tweeted or X'd or whatever you call it now, that I think that may have been the very first time the gravity of the situation actually hit Donna, was seeing and hearing that testimony coming back to back, because we had the recorded call, and then right on the heels of that, we had 2 jailhouse snitches. And it was damning.
Yes, it was. It was damning. So overall, I assume, if I ask you, you think that Donna will get convicted?
I do. I really do. I think there is enough evidence for beyond a reasonable doubt. I know the prosecution has done in my eyes, has done a fantastic job in linking things together. The train of people and the demonstratives that they've used have been very effective to kind of give the jury that snapshot in their mind when they go back to the deliberation room. I think, I if I were on the jury, I would definitely be leaning toward a guilty verdict. And I guess I hadn't paid attention to this, but since there are 12 jurors and 2 alternates, this is considered a capital case in Florida then.
Right, because Sigfredo Garcia was they were all initially indicted as like a capital case, even the unindicted co-conspirators. So that's why you have 12. People have been asking that. That's why you have 12 jurors. That's the mistake, if I may, the prosecution, in my opinion. One of the mistakes, aside from the fact that my client was not guilty, and I know you're all going to rag on me for this, Casey Anthony, but they indicted Casey for a capital murder. They did not have the evidence. They didn't go for the 6. If they'd gone for the 6, maybe they wouldn't have gotten some kind of compromise, even if I'm telling you that she was not guilty, but I represent her, so I know most of you don't believe me. But that was a mistake. So I think that's a problem now. but I'm not sure that that's a problem in this case.
I think it might be a benefit to have, for the defense, to have 12 people. I think it increases the odds just mathematically that one person's going to be swayed by the defense. But we'll see. And Miss Demeanor, we're going to check in with you again.
If you don't mind.
Because
I would love that.
You're a delight.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, and it's nice to check in with somebody that has been in there, can assess the people on my grid, because now I've lost touch with them. Hey, what do you think of the guy with the ponytail and the beard, center front row?
He was one of the individuals I noticed had a very different reaction Friday compared to Monday when I was there.
Okay. Yeah.
And
I think he's made up his mind.
I think so too.
Is he still doing a lot of the arm thrusting? Yeah. Okay.
And I did notice again on Friday there are the four men that sit in that front. So there's bald man, ponytail, young guy, and beard. That's kind of how I remember them in my mind.
The guy next to ponytail guy is shy guy to me. That's
yes.
the slight guy. Yeah. Okay.
They immediately, when Attorney Fulford would come up to cross-examine, they checked out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was instantaneous. I was like, wow, I've not ever seen it that.
Wow. Because the Karen Reed jury never showed anything, right? And this jury is showing, so it's really interesting that you say that.
Head in the hand, and two of them on Friday. I'm not going to say they were sleeping, but their eyes were closed, and they were doing that like catching yourself thing.
They're doing the head bob. The head bob. Yes, the head bob. I know it well.
Well, I hope it's on again. We'd love to have Mr. Easter, Mike Easter, if he's willing to. I know he's involved in another trial right now. Look at some of the evidence in this case and analyze it for us. And he's willing to give us the whole lecture about how you undercover operatives, which I think put the undercover operative, in great. We understood it so much better because of Mike Easter. He's such a great teacher. So we're glad you appreciate him also.
Yeah.
Yes, and I would absolutely love to come back. I have a busy schedule this week because I'm headed to CrimeCon.
Oh, that's
yes, right. We're not going this year. We were last year, but we were just so busy we can't. But you are. That's great.
Enjoy. Yeah.
I'm super excited. So
yeah,
it's great.
It's an event. It's a hoot. All right, Janet. Thank you again. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Take care.
Much.
Okay, that's cool.
Thanks for holding down the fort today. I'll start 8:30 tomorrow morning and give you a little bit of a respite.
I will be there at the noonish whenever the lunch happens. It was early today, so whenever it happens, it happens. And thanks to Jodine Weber for coming on today. We also talked about the bump and all of those things and her take on that, which adding to the Easter quotient. It's amazing the information we're getting from these retired. She agreed, retired is best. Retired special agents from the FBI. So thanks to her again. That was great.
Terrific. All right. I hope Janet comes on again. She was fabulous. She's just a delight. She's a star is born because of Auntie Deb.
So funny. So funny. All right, then. Until tomorrow, folks, I'm Michael Bryant. That's Linda Kenney Baden. This is Justice Served TV. Try to do the right thing.